We couldn't believe it ourselves. Our dream had finally come true. We were so excited we wanted to share our victory with the whole of Newcastle.
Well, I'm with the Newcastle captain, Paul Harrigan. Chief, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, as I said before, Mike, if I haven't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. Again, from Gosford on the way home, the people lined the streets. This was just meant to happen. This game was too important. It's bigger than a football match. It meant the happiness of a lot of people. And I think without a doubt, the Hunter's happy, and Newcastle and the Hunter Valley has been brought together. We're united tonight. And every now and then in life, things like this happen. And we were just saying on the boys on the way back in the bus, we didn't play great today, but it's just like the script was written. Without a doubt, we got a helping hand from up above. With 6 seconds to go, he gave us a win. It wasn't us. And the reason is this, because it means so much to so many people.
Well, Chief, for yourself, Steve Crow, Tony Butterfield, Mark Lanville, originals, this means a little bit extra.
It does. I tell you, 10 years is a long time. It's been a lot of hard bumps, a lot of knockbacks. And I'd like to thank everyone who's been involved in the club over the past 10 years. They've all left and contributed a bit, everything they can. And just to everyone who supported us for 10 years. Thanks. I can't believe it, Mike.
Well, Chief, enjoy the moment. Congratulations to you, fantastic.
And to everyone who supported us, everyone, thanks very much.
The parade on the following Tuesday was just electric.
But have you ever seen anything like this? Listen to the crowd.
One day, one perfect day.
Well, that is the scene looking east along King Street. That's where the players will come from left to right on your screen, and just part of the massive crowd that's in front of City Hall here to welcome home their heroes. The chant goes up as our cameras pan around once again. They did leave Stockland Mall this morning, and joining us to have a chat about the whole week that was and the week that is the marketing manager of the Newcastle Knights, Lisa Taylor. Well, are you worn out yet or what?
Look, we're just absolutely elated with the response that we've had. It's unbelievable.
Let's go back to the last Monday before the grand final. 6,500 T-shirts went on sale on that morning, sold out in 5 minutes. You sold 30,000 leading up to the grand final.
That's right, that's right. We've absolutely put the pressure on the manufacturers. They could hardly keep up with the demand of Newcastle. And now we're out with the Premier T-shirt, which is fantastic.
All right, let's have a look at some of the vision now. The players left Stockland Mall, and it's been a great response. They were there last week early, and here they are at Stockland Mall at Jesmond today. And really, the major sponsor of the Newcastle Knights has been wonderful this year.
Oh, absolutely. I think all the opportunities that we've been able to work together for some great promotions for the boys, it's been great.
What about the players? How have they reacted since the grand final win, or don't you want to know?
No, I've never seen a bunch of guys that emotional before in my life, and I think the thing is that they're dedicating it to Newcastle. They believe that they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people of the area.
Lisa, what about the staff too? Because a lot of the backroom boys and girls go unnoticed a fair bit, but have you been able to enjoy the moment along with Ian Burnett, the Chief Executive Officer, and everyone?
Not really. We really haven't had time to actually sort of say, hey, wow, we're in the grand final, let alone whoopee, we've won. But I'm sure that towards the end of the week we'll have an opportunity to kick back and sit down and reflect on all the work that's gone in through the year. But this is what we've all been working for, and this is our reward.
Well, here's Stockland Mall, and this is just amazing. There is the Optus Cup, and another enormous crowd at the shopping centre.
Absolutely, look at them, and the guys are absolutely so emotional, and they just can't believe the response and the support that's given to them, and it's just wonderful. We really appreciate it.
We're just seeing a shot there of Darren Albert. There's Robbie O'Davis, 2-try hero of the grand final. He had a magnificent game, didn't he?
Absolutely, and I think we've got a bit of a following for the little dance that he's doing after the tries too. We've been doing a little bit of that in the office actually this week.
Matthew Johns, and of course he's very later played a big part in it, and so did the originals, Paul Harrigan, Mark Glanville, Tony Butterfield and Steve Crow. It's great to see Crowy get on the park, and for them I suppose an extra special moment.
Absolutely. I mean the work, they've built this club. They've got the gentlemen that have actually put all their blood, sweat and tears into the club, and I think this is just a just reward, and you know, so pleased to be able to get it in for Mark's leaving, and also Adam Muir's 100th game.
Of course, Hertzie off to North Sydney next year, but I don't think it really matters. There's the players, and a few of them looking a little bit worse for wear. The coach, Malcolm Reilly, and the chief, Paul Harrigan, just making a speech to the crowd now. It really is very emotional scenes here in Newcastle. And, of course, a great boost for the club too, because you know, it's no secret that the club has struggled financially for a little bit over the years, but now this could be the catalyst. 500 big ones out of the grand final, but a catalyst now to really cement their place in rugby league folklore.
Absolutely. I mean, every single cent that we have to operate the club is derived from the community. Sponsorship dollars, people coming to the games, season tickets, all those sorts of things. And certainly when the phones have been running hot in the office as far as people wanting to associate themselves with the club, and this is a great opportunity for us.
What are the plans for the rest of the week after today? Is it just kick back and relax for the players and the staff?
We're hoping so. We're hoping to get over the next couple of days and possibly Friday we can get things back into perspective a little bit.
And let's have a look at the scene at Beaumont Street this morning when they went through there. And Beaumont Street, of course, as I mentioned earlier, one of the areas that was devastated by the Newcastle earthquake. And here they are in the big double-decker just coming into view. That's just along the streets leading into Beaumont Street. It really is euphoric scenes here in Newcastle, and just wonderful for this city that's had so many disappointments. In actual fact, that was when they just left Jesmond. Joining us to talk about this is the Lord Mayor of Newcastle, Greg Hees. Greg, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I haven't. It's way beyond my dreams and my expectations. No, I've never seen anything like this.
Well, I suppose in some respects the bicentenary's got a little bit of stick this year, but by gee, they're dining out on this, aren't they?
That's for sure. I mean, yeah, what a tremendous gift, and it just shows you that the best way to celebrate is to let the people celebrate.
Greg, I suppose something that we've got to do too is capitalise on this euphoria surrounding the grand final win by the Knights.
Yes, as I keep on saying, it demonstrates that the spirit is always there, the community togetherness is always there. It's what's supported the Knights in its 10-year campaign. It also shows you the discipline, the community support, and that courage and creativity. You know, there's that combination. You know, there's a lot of hard yards in where the Knights have got to last Sunday, and we've got to do the same.
You sound as though you can make a pretty fair rugby league commentator. Greg, is there any truth in the rumour that the mayoral robes are going to be changed to blue and red?
Well, that's a great idea. Especially, I think that's a good idea. But the only trouble I'm worried about is the expense of dyeing gold. Or
well, I think we could probably find some people that would do it for you. But here's just some of the scenes in Beaumont Street. And isn't it unbelievable that we see Beaumont Street and also the Newcastle Workers Club, which was the focus on Sunday, two of the places that were absolutely devastated by the earthquake, enjoying this moment?
Yes, it certainly is. It's bringing it all together, you know, that another way of... yet again, with the earthquake, we had a number of functions to get our way through that, but this is absolutely overflowing with joy, and so it's just putting the cream on those events of the past. And
Greg, of course, we've got the players coming here to City Hall. That'll be a wonderful experience for you to be able to welcome them to the city. You're going to throw them the keys to the city?
I give them anything, you know, if they could keep that kind of performance up. Yeah, it's a great honour. You know, I'm tremendously proud to be Lord Mayor with the community behind the team bringing home the bacon like this. It's just the little that we can do. You know, is to organise with all the help of everyone. This has been a great organisational effort of everyone getting involved, and you know, to have a civic reception. You know, that's. What else can I do, you know?
Well, of course, and you mentioned yesterday you were trying to get a half-day holiday for the city. I think they've taken it anyway.
Well, it shows you the Novocastrian spirit, doesn't it?
Anything for holiday.
You don't need to proclaim anything. You know, the community will look after it. And I must congratulate all the businesses, the business community, for getting in with the spirit. I'm sure that the workers will go back invigorated and committed, and the shoppers will be just so brimming with confidence that you know, that the business community will have today, you know, repaid tenfold.
Well, you can have the rest of the afternoon off too after you've finished your official duties.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mike. Yes.
Thanks, Greg. The Lord Mayor of Newcastle, Greg Hees, joining us, and we're just still. There's Robbie O'Davis in Beaumont Street in the open cars. And it really is a wonderful sight. And it must be such a wonderful feeling. Robbie's gone to the Mercedes already, but a wonderful feeling for the players who have busted their boilers, so to speak, over the last 12 months. It hasn't been just a one match, 80 minutes of football down there at the Sydney Football Stadium Grand Final day, but 12 months commitment to getting to the Holy Grail, the Optus Cup of 1997, and they've done that with a great deal of style. And here they are just signing some autographs. Darren Albert, who scored that match-winning try. I bet he never forgets that as long as he lives. And the players absolutely dining out on whatever there is. Steve Crow and Adam Muir, a couple of players that put in absolutely magnificent performances on Sunday. Well, they're singing another round of the Tina Turner song, Simply the Best, and the parade has now come into King Street, led by the marching koalas. Flags everywhere. The atmosphere is absolutely electric here in the still city of Newcastle. Joining us is the Premier of New South Wales, Mr. Bob Carr. And Bob, have you ever seen anything like this?
I've been coming to this city for, I guess, about 13 years as a politician, and I've never seen a celebration like this.
For Newcastle, as we've said to the Bishop and the Mayor, it's just great for the town.
It is, and for those of us who remember the earthquake, the reaction to the earthquake, for those of us who've been caught up in the BHP decision, the economic downturn, it's fabulous. It's a marvellous atmosphere. This is a unique atmosphere here today.
Who were you barracking for on Sunday?
Oh, all my government was locked into the Knights. It was a cabinet decision, But we didn't need a vote. We're just locked into the Knights. And I remember coming here for my first time as party leader in 1988. The new leader of the Labor Party were miles behind, leader of the opposition. People were talking about the Knights then. They said this is the biggest thing in this city. That goes back a long way, and they've been building up and getting there since then.
Mr. Premier, I believe there was some motions passed in Parliament during the week wishing the Knights all the very best.
Yeah, well, all my members voted to endorse the Knights, and that was against the expert advice.
Well, what about the opposition? Did they go along and pass some motions to support the Knights too?
I think they were divided. A lot of them Manly-Warringah, some of them, to their great credit, were with us. But we were 100%, the Labor government, with the Knights. I would have had a revolt from my Newcastle members if there'd been a treasonable strand of support for Manly-Warringah, but there wasn't.
Well, Bob, savour the moment, and thanks for joining us today. It's going to be a great moment when the players actually come out on the balcony.
Yeah, great, Mike. Thank you.
The Premier of New South Wales, Bob Carr, joining us, and just some of the scenes. There's the players, Paul Harrigan and Malcolm Reilly joining us on the big bus there. They've got the Optus Cup with them, and just savouring this. There is the scene. You can see just a massive colour. And joining us now is a man who was down there at Sydney Football Stadium. He played many a great game for the Manly Sea Eagles. I suppose mixed emotions because he's had a fair bit to do with the Newcastle Knights with his job with the 2UE continuous core team. Johnny Gibbs joins us. John, this is unbelievable, isn't it?
It is unbelievable, Mike. It's awesome. I didn't know what to expect when I came up here this morning. I knew it would be good, but this has just exceeded all expectations. It's quite remarkable, and the players haven't arrived yet. So what's going to happen when they do arrive? It's incredible. Congratulations to the city of Newcastle. It was a great game on Sunday. Of course, it takes two good sides to have a good game. Manly did a good job at Newcastle over the 80 minutes, so just a little bit too good. And this here today is amazing, as you say.
You were saying earlier that during your call on the weekend, it was one of the great games to call. You really did enjoy doing it.
Oh, absolutely. There's three games that live long in my memory. The 89 grand final, which went to extra time. The second test at Old Trafford between Australia and Great Britain, and that game, the 1997 Optus Cup, which Newcastle created history and won. Three great games, and maybe more to come. I think the players might be coming, Mike, because the crowd's starting to get a little bit agitated.
Well, John, thanks for joining us, and great job to you and the 2UE continuous core team this year.
That's our pleasure. When we see good football, it makes it easy.
For Hardware House, Johnny Gibbs.
See ya.
Johnny Gibbs joining us here on the balcony of City Hall. Vanessa Spark, they've gone absolutely berserk down there in King Street.
This is real goosebump stuff, Rabs. I'm sure there's not a dry eye down here on King Street. Emotion and passion is flying around like red and blue confetti. You can see the band coming up here behind me now as the players make their way towards the building here.
So there they are. There's the Chief, Paul Harrigan, Malcolm Reilly, who Steve Linnane just in behind. He's played a pretty important part. Came here from St George to play with the Newcastle Knights. Left in controversy and then came back after taking the Curry Club to 3 premierships. Michael Hill, the chairman, right at the back there on the left-hand side. The blonde-headed big fella in the front. Dave Morley, the manager, nicknamed Big Dog. And he's done a magnificent job too, by popular demand, to come back here in Newcastle to help manage the side. The Marching Koalas, the world-renowned marching band, made up of school kids here, and the crowd is going absolutely ballistic as they get closer to the Newcastle City Hall. What a great moment for the people of Newcastle. They've waited 10 years to get this, and probably many clubs have waited a lot longer than that, but it's come within 10 years of their history. It started in 1979 when Lee Moore and Jerry Etzer and Michael Hill had lunch at Squidsing, a restaurant on Lake Macquarie. So Lake Macquarie City Council playing a part too. Then for years they badgered the Newcastle Rugby League. They badgered the New South Wales Rugby League. They badgered everyone that would lend an ear to try and get Newcastle into the greatest rugby league competition in the world. They did that and succeeded in 1987, and then in early 1988, Slammin' Sam Stewart led the players out of the Marathon Stadium for the Herald Challenge Cup against Manly. Sam Stewart had the pleasure of holding up the Challenge Cup that day. There's Cliffy Parker on Rocky. They didn't allow him in the Sydney Football Stadium on Sunday, but he was at the Workers' Club on Sunday night. He's here today to help celebrate this magnificent civic reception for the Newcastle Knights. We've seen it in many countries. In England, when they take the trophy home to Manchester United and clubs like Leeds. But have you ever seen anything like this? Listen to the crowd. The City Hall chimes are going. There are youngsters here from newborn babies right through to grandmothers, and they are savouring every very, very special moment of this as they hug each other. As we mentioned before, there's the Chief. He only has to wave his arms here, and the crowd is going absolutely berserk. I'm just wondering whether the Lord Mayor Greg Hees will give Chief the keys to the city. I'm sure there is something on the agenda to make a special presentation to Paul Harrigan and the Newcastle Knights. The chimes of the town hall can be heard quite distinctively amongst this crowd. I know I'm a pretty poor judge of crowds, but gee, there's got to be close to 30,000, 40,000 people here as they hold the Optus Cup up, the symbol of supremacy in the ARL competition. Malcolm Reilly and Paul Harrigan, they might take a while to get here to the town hall. Well, we've just seen the first on the Raj. The rest of the players are yet to come and make their way to the Newcastle City Hall. But pandemonium literally here, and Vanessa Spark and Ray Deneen have been with us. It has been something very, very special indeed. We'll welcome all the players to the balcony of the town hall a little bit later on when they finally get inside this magnificent structure. And the Chief just making his way down gingerly now. It has been a wonderful moment for him from the moment Darren Albert scored that try. Well, it was on the cards when Robbie O'Davis equalised with that sensational try late in the second half, and Andrew Johns going their blind side back inside to Albert to score under the sticks. And everyone, the party started there, and they really are having a wonderful, wonderful time. The chants going up, the old Lang Syne song that was reworked, the anthem of the Newcastle Knights. Let's have a listen to this, see if you can sing along with it. Massive crowd here. They've lined Beaumont Street, they've lined Hunter Street, and they are jam-packed every inch of King Street. Steve Crow signing some autographs. They might take another half an hour, 3/4 of an hour to get to the City Hall. Adam Muir, there are the Johns boys, Adam McDougall on the right, and it really is just absolutely fantastic. Wayne Richards, who had a stint with Illawarra, came back to join Newcastle this year. By gee, what a smart move from Wayne Richards. And he has played exceptional football this year too. Had a bit of a shoulder injury where he was out for a few weeks, but came back to play his part in history. A grand final victory at the Sydney Football Stadium, and no prouder man is Wayne Richards. As we mentioned before, 8 of the 13 starters in the grand final were locally born and bred, and that's a big thrill for the club. Set by Alan McMahon and David Waite in their informative years. David Waite, who had a stint as coach and took the Knights to their first final series, is credited with setting a magnificent development scheme in process, and I'm sure the Knights want to pass on their thanks to Alan McMahon and David Waite and all those former players such as Sam Stewart, Glennie Miller, Glenn Frendo. Who can forget the Bullet, Steve Fulmer? They have all played a part in this and deserve to have some part of these celebrations here. I know they're having a big reunion on Saturday night, and it really is absolutely fantastic. Down street side is Vanessa Spark. Vanessa, you've got Paul Harrigan with you.
I don't know if I can really believe it. It's obviously a dream. I've never seen anything like this in my life, and the amount of spirit and feeling, it's hard to describe.
Did you ever expect this reception?
Of course not. This is... I'd like to see it on telly later on, just to maybe get a different perspective of it, but from what I saw, I just can't believe it. It's a bit of a freak, I think.
Congratulations. That's Paul Harrigan, of course, the captain of the Newcastle Knights.
Well, thank you very much, Vanessa. Chief, I think, is stuck for words. And when he makes his speech here, stand by for some really emotional stuff from the big fella. He's about 6'6", runs 100 yards in even time. Troy Fletcher there, who had a magnificent game in the grand final, and he's savouring every moment too. And it really is, you just can't describe it. You need to be here. We hope we're bringing the pictures to you so you can savour the moment too. And as we mentioned, Steve Crow and Adam Muir, they're staying to sign the autographs of the youngsters and the not so young. Here are the Johns boys, Matthew on the left and Andrew on the right, who did a little bit of surfing on the way to the Newcastle Workers Club on Sunday night, we believe, with the help of the Newcastle Constabulary. But everyone is enjoying the moment here, and we've got some of the players just coming up to the City Hall balcony now, and we're going to be presenting them to you a little bit later on. But they just can't believe it. It is something very, very special indeed. And, well, you're stuck for words. We're going to have the Premier Bob Carr, the Lord Mayor Greg Hees and Paul Harrigan say a few words to the crowd here a little bit later on, as soon as we get all the players and the officials up here. And that should happen in about 5 minutes' time. Michael Hill, the Newcastle chairman, has just come up to the top too. And we might just grab a quick word with the chairman. He was the initial chairman, and he's back for his second stint. And Michael, I know on Sunday night at the Workers Club I said, have you ever seen anything like this? But Chief was nearly in tears downstairs, and I think there'll be a few tears shed here a little bit later on.
Oh, well, nobody could ever have believed anything like this. Couldn't guesstimate the number of people. It's a Sunday night 10 times, and it's the most unbelievable tribute to a football team.
Let's give you a special thrill, Ben Chairman, at this very special time.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a magic time. I mean, the credit must go to the guys who did it on the park, but they only did it because of the response from this city and this region.
Well, they're going to kick on from here. They'll celebrate long and hard.
Well, I mean, the cities of Maitland want to have a similar function. Cessnock wants to have a similar function. And then, of course, we've got a 10-year reunion on Sunday. It's going to seem like 10 years, I reckon, by then.
Michael, I just mentioned a short time ago, way back to '79, when yourself, Jerry Edser and Lee Morn had that lunch. Did you ever think that this moment would come to fruition? Did you have that much belief in the cause?
Well, we always believed in the cause, Mike, but no one could have ever believed this. The good thing about today is, of course, that Jerry Edser and Lee Morn have joined me today, and we've all done this trip down together, which has been fantastic.
You've run up and down the cricket strip a few times. Was that one of the longest walks you've ever had?
Oh, look, it just doesn't compare with anything else that I've ever done or anything that I'll ever do in the future.
Well, you never know. You might have to do it all again next year.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, we'll run that risk, Mike.
Would it nice to be next year in a unified competition, again holding up the Optus Cup?
Well, that doesn't in any way take away from this year. Yeah, next year we'll do what we've done this year and is beat whatever there is in front of us.
We'll enjoy the reunion.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. Thanks, Mike.
Well done.
Thank you.
Michael Hill, the chairman of the Newcastle Knights, joining us as we have a look at some of the players. Scott Connolly just there on screen. And it is unbelievable. Young Mark Hughes, what a fairy tale for him. He came from the Curry Club after playing in 2 Premier. He scored 2 tries in the grand final of the #1 sports ground. And now here he was last Sunday at the Sydney Football Stadium. And it really is just unbelievable stuff as we watch more of the players come to the City Hall. We've got one of the legends, one of the greats of the Newcastle Club. He's one of the originals, Tony Butterfield. He's just joined us here. We'll grab a chat with Tone. What's the feeling like?
Mate, it's indescribable. I've never experienced anything like it. The town is just enjoying themselves. The sun's out. It doesn't get any better.
Tony, you came here as one of the originals along with Mark Glanville, Paul Harrigan and Steve Crow. You all played such a big part on Sunday at the Sydney Football Stadium. Does it mean any extra benefit for you? Anything extra special?
Oh, it does, mate. I'm not astute enough to be able to explain the emotions inside me, but it means a great deal. I know to the boys you just mentioned. It's bedlam out here. It's great.
Well, Chief's just holding up the Optus Cup for the cameras, and I'm sure he's going to turn around and offer it to the crowd in just a second. They're just on every vantage point, Tony. It is one of the most amazing scenes I've ever seen anywhere.
It is. I expected a few people to come in today, but I don't know. The weather, the occasion, it's just brought them all out, and you can't wrap the people in Newcastle up enough.
The toughest teak front rower has he shed a tear yet?
Mate, a couple coming in here, a couple when we left on Saturday, a couple when we came home on Sunday. Just a big sook.
Well, you deserve and you're allowed to be a big sook. Tony, congratulations to you. And I believe there's a couple of bottles of Penfolds Grange that are going to be drunk later on.
Yes, we'll talk about that, Mike.
Tony Butterfield joining us. There's the Optus Cup going up to the crowd here, and listen to the roar. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to the premier city in Australia, Newcastle. Welcome you to the Newcastle City Hall. And now it is indeed my pleasure to introduce you to the Optus Cup champions of 1997, the Newcastle Knights. First of all, we're going to go through those that didn't get on the park on Sunday, but they played a great part in the 97 Optus Cup. Would you please welcome Mick Jenkins? What about the youngster, Matthew Gidley? Matthew Gidley, who played such a great part this year. There he is, Matthew Gidley. Also, Evan Cochran, who played plenty of first grade games this year. Had a bit of trouble with a broken arm, came back to play some great first grade games. Jason Moody. He had a bout with meningitis, lost an enormous amount of weight, but came back to play his part in the charge to the 97 Optus Cup. Brett Grogan.
Ben, can you see it? Can you see him up on top?
Well, it all started way back in 1988, and this bloke was here then. He got on the park this Sunday in the grand final. One of the originals, give him a big welcome, Stephen Crowe. Crowe will be dining out for about 6 months. He played a great game when he came on Sunday, added some fresh legs to the Newcastle Knights, all the way from Great Britain. Now and over Castrian, Lee Jackson. Probably the young man you really should give an extra round of applause. Great disappointment on Sunday that he had a groin problem and couldn't play, but he really did play some great games towards the end of the season. Brett Clements. We're still trying to find Brett. We'll bring him out in just a tick. Played also a great game on Sunday, number 16, Scott Conley. Here he is, making his way up. Hello, he's been practicing with Romeo Davis. He's got the film star looks. He played a great game. Many thought that he was in the top 3 players on the park. Troy Fletcher. Well, there was a little halfback that hurt his ankle against Manly up there in Coffs Harbour, and he had an able replacement who played some sensational games this year. Would you please welcome Leo Denover? And I think they need an extra round of applause. The reserves for Sunday's grand final. They played a great part. Now let's go through the starting 13. Well, he arrived out of Queensland, but he says he's a confirmed Nova Castrian. Scored 2 tries in the grand final. Romeo Davis. And Father of the Year. He came from up the Hunter Valley. 5 seconds left on the clock. He's only a kid. Darren Albert. They call him the Wild Thing amongst plenty of other things, but he had a great game shutting down Terry Hill and the centre partners of Manly. Adam McDougall! He's only 19. He comes from Tinga. 3 times Australian schoolboy champion, now able to lift up the Optus Cup, Owen Craigie. And he hasn't even started to grow yet. A couple of years ago, he scored 2 tries at the #1 sports ground for Curry to win a grand final. He came into first grade in a crisis, and he held on to his place. Mark Hughes! Their manager's here today, and I hope John Fordham's bought the contract, because all of us will sign it today. We'll dob in $1 or 2 to retain the kids from Cessnock, Matthew and Andrew John.
Oh yeah! Yeah! Why I love you. I don't know why, but I love you.
As we said, there were 4 originals that took to the park on Sunday. None stronger, none more dedicated than the man who came here from Penrith in 1988 to join the Knights, Tony Butterfield. And if you want a party for the next month, just follow Butts. Another bloke out of the coalfields. He broke his hand on Sunday in the grand final, but he's feeling absolutely no pain at all. The erstwhile hooker, Billy Payton. He went down to Illawarra just to learn a few things and put on a few more kilos. He said, I've got to go back home because I can sniff a premiership. And he's got it now. Would you please welcome Wayne Richards? With a tear in his eye, come November, he'll bid farewell to the Still City, but he'll be always remembered back for the great deeds that he has done for the Newcastle Knights over many years. Would you please give a rousing reception to Adam Muir? You know, we talk about the originals, Butch, Crowe and the Chief, but there's one player that played 204 games for the Newcastle Knights. He's been awarded life membership of the club, and rightly so. He's heading to England to play out his career, but he needs the greatest cheer of all time for Mark Glanville. And one young player who has got a bright future, and it is appropriate as we introduce Mark that the next group of players are coming through. And one of those players is going to be a star in his own right, Danny Medeiros. And now the 2 men that basically conspired to bring this competition home, this Optus Cup home to Newcastle. A bloke who went and gave 150% on Sunday. Would you please welcome Paul Harrigan? Ladies and gentlemen, as the Chief joins me on stage, one of the great things about this side is that on Sunday when they came back to the Newcastle Workers Club, they said, where's the coach? They wanted to include the coach in everything they did.
and rightly so, and I'm sure they're going now to join you in congratulating the coach of the Newcastle Knights, Malcolm Reilly. Well, I'm sure that you'd like Chief and Mal to share a great moment with you.
It's really hard to know what to say on an occasion like this, but they say there's no such thing as a perfect day. Well, I think that Sunday was a perfect day. I think today's a perfect day. And it really is a lifetime experience, what it's been like today. There'll be kids, there's thousands of kids here that'll never ever forget this. And I'm just very happy, and on behalf of the boys, to be able to share that with all of you, and it's something that we can always remember. But yeah, guess what? We won the grand final. We've obviously had if a decision can go both two ways, sometimes it goes against us here at Newcastle, and we've kind of copped it in a few different areas over the years, but today, it's the 200th anniversary of Newcastle. It's a Knights' 10th anniversary. It's a perfect day. We've won the grand final. I think we've been paid back. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank you for coming today. I'd like to thank everyone who organised today, and I'd like to thank all the boys and our supporters. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Newcastle Knights.
Harrigan coming over the top and hitting Gardner with a big tackle. Carroll. Harrigan goes in on top of him again. And away for O'Davis. A dummy to Craigie. He'll go over. Robbie O'Davis. Robbie O'Davis brings the entire Hunter to their feet.
How good is he, Robbie O'Davis?
Stephen Crow and Cliff Lyons are going hammer and tongs. Lyons, inside ball to Menzies. Fletcher's tackle was a beauty.
How good's this? Honestly, this is great rugby league. It's what it's all about.
Now Andrew Johns puts the dummy together. Then he picks up O'Davis. O'Davis looking for his second try. It's a try. He's on the line. I think it's a try. From right in front, Andrew Johns has levelled the grand final. There's 20 seconds on the clock. Albert, he will play it. 21 metres away. Down the blind, Andrew Johns. Inside for Albert. Albert will score. Albert will score. Newcastle have won the grand final. Albert is over. 6 seconds to go, and Albert has scored an incredible try. Newcastle have won Rugby League's